Welcome to Chrysolite Network. If you're new here, do not forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification button to get notified each time a new content is uploaded. Today, we're going to talk about Quansa. Who is Quansa? He is a legend who survived and became successful at all cost. I would like you to grab your chair and a cup of coffee if possible, and let's go for a sweet and smooth ride. There was a time when life in Africa used to be very simple and fun. In Owerri, a town in Imo State in the eastern part of Nigeria, there lived a young man called John Obigwe. John Obigwe was a jovial fellow who loved playing football. John Obigwe was tall, dark in complexion, and very handsome with thick hair. He used to play the guitar too, and he expertly plucked the heartstrings of many young fellows. John Obigwe had 3 brothers. He was the youngest of them all. The Nigerian Civil War began in the late 60s, and life in Owerri was on the lowest key. So, John Obigwe and his brothers lived on a low key, hiding many times to avoid forceful conscription by the Biafran army. The brutal civil war ended in 1970, leaving Owerri in ruins. The citizens started their lives all over again. By a stroke of luck, John Obigwe and his brothers discovered that their late father had left behind a big parcel of land in Port Harcourt. They held a meeting and decided to sell the land and share the money equally among the 4 of them. They signed the agreement. The land was sold, but unknown to John, his 3 brothers had resolved not to give him his share of the money. When John got a wind of their plan, he confronted them. They told him that he was too young to be given money. They told him to wait till he turned 40. John was infuriated. He announced he was leaving his family. He told them he was no longer part of the family. They laughed and mocked him. John gathered his possessions and sold them to raise money. He was left with only his guitar. John teamed up with a friend and traveled out of Nigeria, precisely Ghana. He lived at number 19 Banyard Street off Yadi Layout, Accra. He changed his name. He was then called Quansa. He started doing odd jobs to raise money to feed. He began playing his guitar. He joined the High Life band in Accra. In a few years' time, Quansa became rich and famous in Ghana. He married a beautiful young lady named Mina Saprong. Quansa became one of the prominent men in Accra. He was a merchant and a high life musician. His band was popular and played at many shows. News of Quansa's success reached his family in Owerri. His brothers sent emissaries to beg him for forgiveness. But Quansa had sworn not to have anything to do with them again. His brothers visited him, but they were driven out of his house. They returned to Nigeria and hatched a plan. They approached a new high life band in Owerri called the Peacocks Guitar Band. They begged the band to write and record a song for their brother. The band agreed and recorded a track. It was titled Quansa, and it became a hit track in Owerri and eastern Nigeria. Quansa, bia, biao, izukama na nnechi, biao, biao. This song was an appeal to Quansa to return home. Quansa heard the record but refused to return home. It was not long after then that the new masquerade show came on Nigerian national television, NTA drama series starring persons like Chief Zebudaya, Green Gori, Clarus Jegede, among others. The producers of this show decided to use the Quansa track as the signature tune. The song became very popular throughout Nigeria because of the show. Yet, Quansa refused to return home. Nobody knows exactly where Quansa is right now. Some people say he is dead and buried in Accra. Some say he's still alive but living in a secret location in India. Have you seen Eddie Quansa? Excellent story, if you ask me. This story left a deep impression on the mind of many. It speaks of the evil of greed, treachery, anger, and bitterness. Here was a man who, by this account, was wronged and unfairly treated by his own brothers. He had every right to be very furious and disappointed. It was also understandable for him to want to move away from those who caused him so much pain. It's only human. Yet, there is no justification for staying bitter forever or refusing to let go of hurt. The wise quickly realize, as Nelson Mandela put it, that bitterness is like holding a piece of burning coal in your hands and hoping it hurts someone else. In other words, bitterness always hurts its hosts much more. The story did not tell us what became of Eddie Quansa's brothers. It is safe, however, to assume that they did not amount to much, not with their wicked hearts. Eddie Quansa could have chosen, just like Joseph in the Bible, to forgive his brothers who sold him into slavery. He could have realized that their jealousy and treachery were divine instruments to ushering him into purpose and stardom. If he had not left his hometown as he did, he might not have discovered the fortune waiting for him in a distant land. So, in a sense, his brothers were the vehicle for his eventual accomplishments. But Eddie Quansa chose to see things differently. He chose to probably die with a bitter heart. This is a legendary story whose author is anonymous, but it has a take-home lesson for all who care to learn. Are you like Eddie Quansa?